Wow. Devin Haney re-signs with Top Rank 2 days before the fight with Vasily Lomachenko, in essence, killing the fight with Gervonta Tank Davis and pulling a Terrence Bud Crawford. Man, let's talk about that in this video. But before I do, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are new to the channel, please accept my invitation to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you can so that you can be notified of when we release more videos. And if you're a longtime subscriber and supporter of the channel, thank you so much. And to thank you everybody that supports the channel in the Cash App. It is really, really helpful for the channel. If you know why, don't need to tell you, but thank you so much. But before we get into that, I just want to tell you real fast about today's sponsor, the Boxing Showtime app. It's a very useful app that keeps you updated on all things boxing, and you can keep up with the latest fights, where to watch them, the latest news, and a lot more. For any hardcore boxing fan like myself, and most likely all of y'all, I would definitely recommend downloading it. And it also is most definitely a big support to the channel. It's available for both Apple and Android, and you can find the link in the description below. Thanks for considering downloading Boxing Showtime's app. But let's get back into the subject matter. But let's get into this because there's a lot of people that are wondering what's going to be next for Devin Haney heading in to this next phase of his career post beating Vasily Lomachenko. And Bob Arum apparently has signed Devin Haney to a multi-fight deal after the fight or 2 days before the fight with Vasily Lomachenko. Now, the reason that we know that it took place was because MALIGNAGGI, one of the sorest losers in boxing, and definitely somebody that has got some ulterior motives for saying so, specifically trying to make people, or trying to imply that the reason that the judges went for Devin Haney in the Vasily Lomachenko fight was because Bob Arum re-signed him and there was some type of gamesmanship going on around in order to set up a robbery for Devin Haney, which is counterintuitive based on the situation that we knew was going on before, or we thought was going on before, which was that Vasily Lomachenko was the house fighter and the one that if the fight was close, he was going to get the decision. But according to MALIGNAGGI, it was in fact Devin Haney that was the house fighter because he was the younger fighter, the 24-year-old guy who had a future in the game, and he decided to sign on full board to Bob Arum. So now Bob Arum keeps those belts. He can do what he wants, and Top Rank winds up being a winner any way it goes. And that's why they abandoned Vasily Lomachenko in that fight. Now, before anybody starts arguing with me, I do not agree with that. I do not know that to be the case. I don't necessarily agree with that. And I don't believe that to be the case from what I can see. It looked to me that it was a close fight. Different people can see different things, but it is what it is. However, I will say that I think that it is very ironic that the same people that did or refereed the fight for Ryan Garcia versus Gervonta Davis that people were calling corrupt because of how they scored it, could not see that corruption may occur if you apply and assign the same 3 judges. But I don't think that is what the most significant portion of this is. A development is. I think that the most significant portion of this development is the fact that you can forget the fight taking place between Gervonta Davis and Devin Haney if this is true, because Bob Arum came out very clearly and said that he wasn't going to make the fight between Gervonta Davis and Shakur Stevenson because he did not think that the money was there in the fight it was there in that fight, and that asked the question, why would we put up front all of these big guarantees in order to make a couple bucks and potentially lose money? So I can't see the logic changing much with Devin Haney. Also, you can look at what took place with Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Manny Pacquiao. Even if you say that Devin Haney has now been on pay-per-view and he had 14,000 people in attendance, and somehow the numbers in your head have come around to he's a big mega star. And even if that's true, what is the record of Bob Arum? Bob Arum's record is, if he's got a big name fighter, he's going to have his big name fighter continue to fight fighters that are in his banner up until the time at which it makes financial sense where he can make a ton of money if they lose. And that would not be the case with Gervonta Davis and Devin Haney. So clearly also Devin did not, if this is true what Paulie is saying, Devin did not consider his free agency as something that was essential to the rest of his career. And that is something that Devin Haney said in an interview, in one of the press conferences that they had, where he mentioned when people said, hey, free agent, look, I like ESPN. ESPN is my home. It seemed like that's where he wants to be. This to me sounds a lot like Terrence Crawford and what took place multiple times when Terrence Crawford re-signed with Top Rank. Now, again, I don't know if this is true. This is what Paulie Malignaggi is saying. Before the fight, Bob Arum had said that he did not intend on signing Devin Haney to a multi-fight deal. He said that if he has a fight for him, he'll give him a fight on a one-fight deal. And if he decides to go sign with somebody else, so be it. That very well may have been that Bob Arum was using gamesmanship in his negotiation over through interviews. Could very well be the case. However, whatever the situation is, if it is true that he signed again with Gervonta Davis, with Devin Haney, if Devin Haney signed with Top Rank again, it is most definitely a barrier to the fight with Gervonta Davis. However, it is not completely bad news because there are other people over there on Top Rank that Devin Haney can fight. Guys like Shakur Stevenson, who got into the ring with him and presumably will be his WBC mandatory if the WBC president Mauricio Suleiman keeps his word. That's not guaranteed that will be the case, but Shakur Stevenson says he wants that fight. Devin Haney doesn't look like he wants that fight and says something like, it'll happen down the road at 135, 140, 147, what have you. I don't think Devin Haney wants that fight because I don't think that's a fight that Devin Haney can win. But at the same time, I don't know really after that Lomachenko fight whether the fight with Gervonta Davis is one that he can win, because he did not look overwhelmingly dominant, and he looked very vulnerable against some certain things with Vasily Lomachenko that Gervonta Davis does better than Vasily Lomachenko does, or at the very least, he does as well as Vasily Lomachenko does. But anyway it goes, interesting development. I certainly hope that we get to see a very good fight involving some of these lightweights very soon, but I would not hold my breath